Back in 2022, Burkina Faso produced over 20,000 kilograms of gold that was later exported to Western countries. This gold was mined and extracted by foreign companies, leaving nothing for Burkina Faso to benefit from. You should know that this is the amount that was reported, where, in reality, more gold was extracted. That's not the story of only 2022. From Burkina Faso's independence, Western gold mining companies have been looting its gold. That's the reason why Burkina Faso, despite being the 14th biggest gold producer in the world, is grappling with poverty. However, Western countries like France, Italy, and the UK, which do not have gold mines of their own, have the most gold in their coffers. But now, Ibrahim Traore has decided to end this, as he has announced to end all gold sales to the West. This has created shockwaves throughout the West as its gold market stood on the gold mainly from Burkina Faso. What will happen now? Let's know about that in this video. After Ibrahim Traore issued the executive order to end all gold sales to the West, we saw shockwaves. This was in the form of Western leaders making emergency visits to African countries. Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited Ghana, Ethiopia, and Kenya, and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen visited Zambia. Even King Charles of England visited the African countries. All this was to ensure that these African countries did not follow the trend Burkina Faso's Ibrahim Traore was setting. At that time, Traore had not issued the order yet, but the Western leaders knew what was going to happen. You should know that Burkina Faso stands as the 14th largest gold producer, showcasing an impressive output of 70,000 Congo in 2022. Unfortunately, none of this gold stays within Burkina Faso, and the compensation for it is considered unjust. Instead, European companies exploit Burkina Faso's gold and other minerals, subjecting the young people of Burkina Faso to devastating working conditions in the gold mines, all while receiving minimal pay from these European companies. All the gold ends up in the coffers of European banks, leaving nothing for the people of Burkina Faso. As a result, 40% of the population in Burkina Faso lives below the poverty line, and Burkina Faso ranks 184th out of 191 countries in the Human Development Index. This is pathetic. Being one of the biggest gold producers, the ground realities in Burkina Faso are ironic. However, the military leader and president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore, has recently announced a strategy to address this issue. Traore pledges that the West will no longer exploit Burkina Faso by obtaining gold at below-market prices. His goal is to regain control of the country's reserves and put an end to the exploitation by European companies. You will know how he has planned to do this shortly within the video. Despite coming to power through a military coup, Traore is determined to rectify the mistakes made by previous leaders concerning the nation's natural resources, finances, and overall progress. Historically, Africans have risked their lives to extract these resources, often resorting to hazardous methods such as using mercury and engaging in small-scale mining operations. Unfortunately, the rewards of their labor are taken by intermediaries who purchase these resources at significantly reduced prices, selling them in Western markets and reaping substantial profits that remain outside of Africa. President Ibrahim Traore is committed to ending this exploitation once and for all. He highlights the challenges many Africans face in dangerous mining operations to extract gold. These individuals receive minimal compensation when selling their gold in the African market. Subsequently, the gold is exported to Western markets, benefiting others while neglecting the needs of local communities. You see, this is a systemic method to exploit not only Burkina Faso's minerals and precious metals, but also its workers. An evil system has been created that forces the very people of Burkina Faso to mine gold for Western powers. In turn, they are paid in fractions, and the gold exists in the country the very moment it is mined. This is not much different than what happened during slavery when slaves did not get the fruits of their labor. No matter how much they worked and how much their work brought profits for their masters, they were given only food. This is not much different from today, where people working in gold mines get wages that are only sufficient for basic life necessities. This practice not only hinders job creation, but also obstructs overall development as money is drained away from the local economy. Until now, Burkina Faso has been confronting a significant challenge concerning the prominent mining company Endeavour Mining. This multinational corporation, based in the UK, holds a dominant position in Burkina Faso's gold mining sector, controlling nearly one-third of the country's gold market. Adding to the complexity, Endeavour Mining acquired the Mana mine in July 2020 as part of its takeover of a Canada-based gold miner. This scenario shows a recurring problem where ownership of African resources often falls into the hands of foreign entities. Previously, a Canadian company owned the mine, and now it is in the possession of a UK-based firm. The data discloses a concerning reality. Endeavour Mining, a foreign entity, holds a significant 90% share in the mine, while the Burkina Faso government only holds a minimal 10% stake. This shows the overwhelming foreign control. You should know that the majority of multinational companies exploiting these resources come from countries other than Burkina Faso, and the government's stake in these companies is relatively minor and easily acquired. Consequently, the people have minimal control over their own gold and cannot even benefit from their own resources. This was shown by the recent incident where the government of Burkina Faso had to buy 200 gold bars from Endeavour Mining using their own funds, instead of utilizing the gold extracted from mines in Burkina Faso. This situation parallels what has happened in Ghana, where Anglo Gold Ashanti currently owns nearly all the gold mines, and the Ghanaian government has no stake in these operations. Essentially, they have given up their natural resources and heritage at a significant price. The predicament lies in the fact that the profits generated from these resources do not flow back to the continent, failing to contribute to its development. This is why Burkina Faso's leader asserts that they are moving towards establishing their own company to exploit these resources independently on their terms. Their goal is to increase the value of the resources and sell to the highest bidder, ensuring that the earnings flow back to Burkina Faso for the nation's development. Fueled by gold mining, Burkina Faso's mining sector makes up 16% of the GDP and constitutes 80% of exports, according to the latest ET data. In a bid to enhance the sector's economic contribution, the government announced plans to establish a gold refinery for local processing. On November 23, 2023, Burkina Faso's president, Ibrahim Traore, laid the foundation stone for the country's inaugural gold refinery. Boasting an annual refining capacity of 150 tons, the undisclosed total cost facility is set to produce its first gold in 11 months. This refinery marks a significant milestone as the first of its kind in the country. It will house a jewelry store and serve as the future headquarters of the Société Nationale des Substances Précieuses, overseeing the project on behalf of the state. According to authorities, the facility is expected to generate 100 direct jobs and over 5,000 indirect jobs. President Traore emphasized that Burkina Faso will no longer be refining its gold abroad, but have it refined at home. He said that Burkina Faso will know what the real value of the raw gold that comes out of its mines is. These remarks were conveyed in a speech read on his behalf by the Minister of Mines, Simon Pierre Boussem. This shows how Ibrahim Traore plans to take control of all the gold mines in the country, monitoring every process, so, unlike before, no foreign company can exploit Burkina Faso's gold. The move towards local processing is gaining traction among various African mining countries, looking to shift from exporting raw production. In the gold sector specifically, many of the continent's producers traditionally send their gold for processing in refineries located in South Africa, Switzerland, or China. As Mali aims to become Africa's third-largest gold producer by 2022, it could follow Burkina Faso's lead, evident in the recent signing of a memorandum of understanding with Russia to construct a gold refinery. But how will a gold transformation come to pass in Burkina Faso? Well, Ibrahim Traore unveiled a plan in August of this year, during Burkina Faso's International Youth Day celebrations. In an unexpected policy announcement, Ibrahim, despite surprising his audience, felt compelled to address a critical issue. Since taking office in September 2022, he has tirelessly committed to leveraging Burkina Faso's abundant resources for its own advancement. At the event, Ibrahim took the stage and delivered a compelling message, highlighting the stark contrast between International Youth Day and the actions of the Western world towards African nations. He vehemently criticized the treatment of African countries, branding it as a model of brutal imperialism. Ibrahim emphasized that despite the formal abolition of slavery in Europe and the United States, Africans continued to endure conditions resembling slavery due to foreign control over gold mines. While many argue that the Western world abolished slavery, Ibrahim stressed the role of these very Western powers in perpetuating slavery in Africa. Young Africans are compelled into labor in the worst working conditions in gold mines, risking their lives to generate profits for Europe while receiving only basic sustenance in return. Ibrahim acknowledged the persistence of neo-colonialism in Burkina Faso and pledged to instigate transformative change. This commitment led him to unveil Burkina Faso's new policy, centering on reclaiming sovereignty over gold mining. Drawing parallels between the current situation in Burkina Faso and the conditions endured by black slaves in Europe and the Americas in the 1800s, Ibrahim shed light on the precarious lives of today's miners. He asked thought-provoking questions about the miners, their families, and the exploitation they faced, highlighting the injustice of their labor. Ibrahim pointed out that, regardless of how much gold they extract, the profits ultimately benefit European powers that possess mining rights. This structural dominance by Europe significantly influenced Burkina Faso's gold mining sector. The plight of Burkina Faso has gained attention due to the growing dangers faced by its miners and the ongoing struggle for justice. But this situation will change. Ibrahim Traore declared that a transformation is on the horizon, bringing about substantial modernization. He revealed his plan to establish a company that would take control of all mining sites in Burkina Faso, especially the gold mines. We now know that his plans are being executed as a gold refinery is being constructed. Ibrahim Traore said that this transformative shift will expel European companies. After reclaiming these sites, European companies compelled by exploitative agreements will be ordered to depart. The modernization of the mining sector will replace harsh conditions with a more contemporary approach, enabling individuals to extract gold as practiced in developed nations. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. From now on, gold exploitation will become a thing of the past. It will be replaced by an era of progress and enrichment of Burkina Faso's citizens, not Europeans. The era of relentless exploitation by former colonizers has concluded, and a new chapter is about to start. To address this situation, Burkina Faso is establishing a new company with the goal of providing employment opportunities for its youth. Henceforth, their work will contribute to the welfare of their country and themselves, not foreign nations. During the ceremony, Ibrahim addressed the businessmen present and urged them to make a new commitment. As pivotal figures in the economic landscape, they have the power to generate job prospects and set Burkina Faso on a path to recovery. Burkina Faso is introducing an initiative called EPIC, which aims to redefine businesses within the nation. The rationale behind this initiative is that Burkina Faso possesses raw materials for a broad range of products, but imports finished goods that could be produced domestically. Ibrahim pointed out the irony of having tomatoes but lacking the capability to produce tomato paste, or having oil seeds but not processing them. These limitations stem from historical attempts by European powers to keep Burkina Faso dependent. Official figures say that Burkina Faso produced 20,000 kilograms of gold in 2022. However, that's not the real amount. There have been reports suggesting foreign companies engaging in gold smuggling out of Burkina Faso. This is done so these companies do not have to pay royalties or a percentage to the government of Burkina Faso. This means that the reported gold amount is quite less than what is mined in the country. Billions of dollars worth of gold are illicitly transported out of Africa every year through the United Arab Emirates in the Middle East, acting as a gateway to markets in Europe, the United States, and beyond. Customs data indicates that in 2016, the UAE imported $15.1 billion worth of gold from Africa, surpassing any other country and significantly increasing from $1.3 billion in 2006. But who smuggled that gold? Well, you know the answer. The total weight amounted to 446 tons, in varying degrees of purity, a substantial rise from 67 tons in 2006. A notable portion of the gold was not recorded in the exports of African states. According to 5 trade economists interviewed by Reuters, this suggests that significant quantities of gold are leaving Africa without the corresponding taxes being paid to the producing states. Previous reports have brought attention to the underground trade in gold mining by individuals, including children, operating outside major business networks and often with minimal official oversight. The assessment of the illicit trade volume was based on comparing total imports into the UAE with the exports declared by African states. Congo is one of the African countries hit hard by smuggling, and if you can remember, the majority of gold mines in Congo are owned by foreign companies. This wipes out all possibility of any African or state official participating in smuggling, proving that these foreign companies engage in smuggling. The combination of immense wealth, widespread violence, and extreme poverty in DR Congo is not incidental but part of a broader pattern causing devastation across Africa, as investigated by Financial Times journalist Tom Burgess in a new edition of his book, The Looting Machine. Burgess, a former correspondent in Lagos and Johannesburg, identifies various kleptocrats and rackets during his travels through numerous resource-rich countries. However, a common theme is the continuous wholesale expropriation of resources from colonial times into the post-independence era, albeit with new beneficiaries. Burgess argues that Western governments are not supposed to wield commercial and political power at the same time, and certainly not to use one to benefit the other. In colonial states, the British or Portuguese cultivated a small group of local people who fused political and commercial power to control the economy. When the foreign power withdrew, it left behind an elite with no division between political and commercial power, leading to ultra-corrupt states. For instance, an extractor elite in Nigeria sought to monopolize the rent generated by oil and mining resources. Burgess also highlights another colonial legacy in oil and mining firms' lasting presence and influence. He says that multinational companies wield significant economic and political influence in post-independence African countries, showing an evolution from colonial exploitation to modern exploitation. According to Burgess, governments relying on resource revenue foster corruption and oppression as they lack accountability to their people through a social contract based on taxation and representation. He points to Angola, which derives almost half of its GDP from oil, as an illustration of the government functioning as a service for the elite. A 2011 IMF audit revealed that $32 billion disappeared from official accounts between 2007 and 2010, constituting a quarter of the state's income. Burgess adds that the Angolan elite rejects accountability and suppresses any challenge from the public, citing the recent case of activists being jailed for a public reading of a pro-democracy book. The growth of offshore banking in the late 20th century created new opportunities for resource tycoons to cover their tracks, a practice laid bare in the Panama Papers. Israeli businessman Dan Gertler was an early pioneer. After establishing a close friendship with DR Congo President Joseph Kabila, he gained a near monopoly on exporting the nation's diamonds and quickly became a billionaire. Gertler routed the cash through an elaborate network of offshore accounts in tax havens, keeping the details of controversial deals secret. All this shows that the foreign companies working in the African countries engage in exploitation and dodge the least royalties due to them. Critics argue that foreign gold mining companies operating in Africa are under scrutiny due to their perceived exploitation of gold resources without making equivalent contributions to the economic development of the host countries. A significant concern revolves around negotiating contracts that result in low royalty rates and taxes, potentially leaving host nations insufficiently compensated for extracting and exporting valuable natural resources. However, Burkina Faso has initiated to strengthen the hold on gold royalties and ensure that they are paid and no smuggling is done. Moreover, there are allegations of smuggling and tax evasion, where Western gold mining companies employ illicit practices to evade taxes and regulatory oversight, depriving African countries of essential revenue for public services, infrastructure, and community development. Another area of criticism focuses on the lack of transparency in the operations of specific foreign mining companies. The limited disclosure of financial transactions and operations complicates the assessment of the true value of extracted gold and whether host country has received fair compensation. Furthermore, the negotiation process between foreign mining companies and host countries is often unequal. Developing nations may lack the expertise and bargaining power to secure favorable terms, resulting in benefits skewed in favor of the mining companies. Concerns also extend to transfer pricing, with accusations that some companies manipulate prices within their corporate groups to minimize tax liabilities, potentially shifting profits to low-tax jurisdictions. However, as Ibrahim Traore has planned to construct a gold refinery and establish a company that will oversee all mining activities, there will be fewer chances of illicit gold transfer. But that's not the end. Captain Ibrahim Traore has announced a ban on all gold sales to the West, creating a bottleneck situation. That's exactly what other African leaders should do to make the West realize they were paying the least for African gold. Since no gold will leave Burkina Faso, there will be more demand in the Western gold market, increasing gold prices. The whole gold market might face uncertainty, and Burkina Faso will be begged to lift the gold sales ban. That's when Captain Ibrahim Traore will use the bargaining power to increase the shares and pay royalties. Do you think Ibrahim Traore should prolong the gold sales ban to get bargaining power? Or should all African countries form a union to ban gold sales to the West forever? Let us know your thoughts on what might happen next, and whether the West would literally beg Ibrahim Traore to have gold. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.